Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to today's Caffeine for the Soul. And if you enjoy these weekly episodes, I encourage you to like and subscribe so that you will always be notified when the next one is out. Now, the title for this week's episode, Not My Circus, Not My Monkeys, actually originates, it's a Polish expression. And it's essentially kind of what you'd assume that it means is that, you know, we don't have to be caught up in other people's drama. But for me, I always thought that to not be caught up in other people's drama, in other people's problems, was the equivalent of not caring. And I that idea was really challenged when one of my mentors talked to me about her time spent with a Scottish mystic named Sid Banks that I talk about in many of these episodes. And she pointed out that while Sid was the most caring, compassionate person in many ways she had ever met, he absolutely refused to take part in other people's problems or drama. He just had no interest in that. He cared about the people, but he wasn't interested in the games they played and the dramas that they created and the problems that they get so caught up in. And when I asked her why she thought that was, she said, well, he could see that their problems were coming from the way they were thinking. They weren't in the world, they were in their mind. And that attention works kind of like, and now this is my language, but attention works kind of like a magnifying glass. So if somebody puts their magnifying glass on something, they put all their attention on something, it becomes a bigger and bigger and bigger deal. And if the magnifying glass, it's almost like every 5 minutes that you hold it increases magnification. So it gets even bigger. And the more you think about it, the more you focus on it, the bigger problem it starts to look like, and the more of a big deal and the more all-consuming it appears to be. Now, if you understand that the reason something looks like a big problem is because you're paying so much attention to it, and not that you're paying so much attention to it because it's such a big problem, then it makes sense to back off it a little bit. Let it shrink down to its real size, and then when you're bigger than it again, it won't be such a big deal to take part in. And whether it was intuitive or whether it was, I don't know how Sid came to see that, but it just didn't make any sense to him to put his magnifying glass on top of their magnifying glass and make it an even bigger problem that needed to be solved. And what people would often say is they'd come away from spending time with Sid, and sometimes they'd be like, he didn't seem very interested in my problems. But they'd feel better, and a lot of times their problems would either go away or the solution would present itself. And I had to really sit with that, because while on the one hand it made sense to me, on the other hand it still seemed kind of uncaring to not take part in somebody else's problems, to not take part in their drama. But then when I sat with it for a little bit longer, it was clear to me, well, I'm not obligated to take part in somebody else's mood. I'm not obligated to take part in their problem. I'm not obligated to take part in their drama. So the only reason that I would is if I wanted to. And I might want to because I find it entertaining. It might not be my circus or my monkeys, but I really like monkeys and I think circuses are cool. Or it might be that when I don't take part in the circus, in the drama, I get to just enjoy being with them. And I realize that the times where I feel most connected to the people I care about are the times where I'm with them, not their story, with them, not their drama, with them, not their mood, with them, not their circus, not their monkeys. And so instead of it being a sort of an uncaring, everyone for themselves kind of an attitude, for me, the recognition that I don't have to make anybody else's circus into my circus. I don't have to make anybody else's drama into my drama. I don't have to make anyone else's problem into my problem. It leaves me with so much more energy and presence to really be with people. And if there is a problem to be solved, or if there is something to be done, I have all the energy and creativity I need to participate and to contribute. Now, the real bonus was when I started to see, I don't even have to take part in my own drama. I don't even have to take part in my own scary thinking. I'm not obligated to take myself seriously or my problems seriously. And in fact, one of the things that I've known for years but never quite connected the dots about is that the quicker I can get over myself and stop taking myself so seriously, the quicker I come up with solutions and possibilities and am able to move forward in my own life. So if you want to play with this, what I would encourage you to do is just play with it. Notice, where are you caught up in somebody else's circus and with somebody else's monkeys? Where are you taking responsibility for somebody else's well-being? And if you just don't, what does that free you up to do? How does that allow you to show up with them and with yourself and in the world? Have fun, learn heaps, happy exploring, and I'll talk with you soon.